That burning frustration when someone dismisses your point, the exhausting drain of navigating constant criticism, the sheer bewilderment at another's unreasonableness. These encounters poison our peace, leaving us feeling powerless and agitated. We replay conversations, fume silently, and wonder if there's any escape from the turbulent emotions stirred by difficult people. But what if the path to tranquility wasn't about changing them or avoiding them, but transforming something within ourselves? This isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a profound challenge to our inner equilibrium. Dealing with negativity, irrationality, or aggression from others can hijack our focus, steal our joy, and prevent us from being our best selves. It's a universal human experience, a persistent friction in the fabric of social life. Imagine possessing an internal shield, not of indifference, but of profound understanding and unshakable calm, even amidst chaos. Ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus confronted emperors, exile, and the everyday frustrations of human interaction, developing a powerful psychological toolkit. They proposed a radical shift. The source of our disturbance isn't what people do, but our judgment about what they do. This isn't about suppressing emotions or becoming robotic. It's about understanding the mechanics of our own reactions and reclaiming our internal authority. The Stoics offer not just abstract ideas, but actionable strategies honed over centuries, techniques to pause, to reframe, to choose reason over reactivity. The cornerstone of this entire approach, the fundamental principle we must grasp first, is what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. It's a deceptively simple, yet profoundly liberating idea. Some things are within our power, while others are absolutely not. Grasping this distinction is the first, crucial step towards unburdening ourselves from the weight of trying to control the uncontrollable, especially the thoughts, words, and actions of other people. So what falls under our direct control according to the Stoics? Only our own judgments, opinions, aspirations, desires, and aversions. Essentially, our inner world, our thoughts, our responses, our choices, our voluntary actions. Everything else, our body, property, reputation, external events, and critically, the actions and beliefs of other people, falls into the category of things not up to us, or external influences that we cannot fundamentally command or dictate. Consider a difficult coworker who constantly undermines your ideas. Their behavior, their words, their attitude, their motivations are external to you. They are products of their own judgments, experiences, and perhaps ignorance. Wasting emotional energy wishing they were different, trying to force them to see your point of view, or becoming consumed by anger at their actions is, in the Stoic view, a fundamental error. It's like trying to command the wind, futile and exhausting. The true power resides in focusing meticulously on what is within your control in that situation. Your perception of their behavior, is it a personal attack or a sign of their own insecurity? Your emotional response, will you allow anger to rise or choose calm assessment? And your chosen action, will you react defensively, engage constructively, or calmly disengage? This internal pivot redirects your energy from fruitless external battles to productive internal self-mastery. This leads us to the second crucial Stoic insight: perception is key. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." When someone acts difficultly, we often perceive it as a direct, personal affront. But the Stoics urge us to question this initial interpretation. Is there another way to view their behavior? Aurelius also suggested that people often act badly not out of malice, but out of ignorance, specifically, ignorance of what is truly good and right. They pursue what they mistakenly believe is beneficial or justified, even if it causes harm or frustration to others. Viewing a difficult person's actions through this lens, as a manifestation of flawed understanding or mistaken judgment, rather than intentional wickedness aimed at you, can dramatically lessen the sting. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or agreeing with flawed perspectives. It simply means understanding its likely root, not in personal animosity towards you, but in the other person's own internal state, their own limitations, their own misperceptions of the world. By reframing their actions as stemming from ignorance or poor judgment rather than malice, you decouple their behavior from your sense of self-worth and emotional stability. This reframing is not always easy, especially when behavior feels deliberately provocative. However, consistently practicing this shift in perception acts like building a muscle. Over time, it becomes more natural to pause and consider alternative explanations for difficult behavior, rather than immediately defaulting to feeling personally attacked or offended. This pause creates space for a more rational and composed response, which is central to the Stoic ideal. The third pillar of the Stoic approach involves focusing on virtue. The Stoics believed the ultimate goal of life was to live in accordance with virtue, which they primarily defined through four cardinal virtues: wisdom, understanding the world correctly; justice, treating others fairly; courage, facing challenges with fortitude; and temperance, moderation and self-control. Difficult interactions, rather than being mere annoyances, become prime opportunities to exercise these very virtues. When faced with an unreasonable person, you have a chance to practice temperance by managing your anger and frustration. You can exercise wisdom by trying to understand their perspective, even if flawed, and by recognizing what is and isn't in your control. You demonstrate justice by responding fairly and rationally, even if they are not. And you show courage by maintaining your composure and principles under pressure, refusing to be dragged down to their level of reactivity. Shifting your goal in a difficult interaction from winning or changing their mind to acting virtuously fundamentally alters the dynamic. Your success is no longer dependent on their response, which is outside your control. Instead, your success is measured by your own conduct. Did you remain patient? Did you respond justly? Did you maintain your inner calm? This internal benchmark provides a stable sense of purpose and satisfaction, regardless of the external outcome. This focus on virtue prevents us from mirroring the negativity we encounter. If someone is rude, responding with rudeness only escalates the conflict and degrades our own character. If someone is irrational, meeting them with irrational anger achieves nothing constructive. The Stoic challenge is to uphold our own standards of rational, virtuous behavior precisely because the other person is failing to do so. It's about maintaining our own inner citadel of reason and calm. The fourth Stoic concept relevant here is oikiosis, often translated as affinity or social duty. The Stoics believe that all human beings share a common spark of reason and belong to a single cosmopolitan community. While individuals may act poorly due to ignorance, our fundamental nature connects us. This doesn't mandate endless tolerance of abuse, but it informs our initial response. Instead of immediate hostility, oikiosis suggests attempting a constructive approach first, if appropriate. Can we calmly explain our perspective? Can we point out the flaw in their reasoning without attacking them personally? Can we appeal to our shared rationality? Combining these four pillars, dichotomy of control, perception as key, focus on virtue, and social duty, creates a robust framework. It shifts the focus from the external provocation, the difficult person, to the internal response, our thoughts, judgments, and actions. This internal locus of control is the source of Stoic freedom and tranquility, allowing us to navigate challenging social interactions without sacrificing our peace of mind. Strategy 1. The power of the pause. When confronted with difficult behavior, our immediate instinct is often a reactive defense or counterattack. Epictetus advised, "Be silent for the most part, or speak only what is necessary and in few words." Before responding, take a conscious pause. Breathe deeply. This interruption breaks the chain reaction of stimulus and emotional response, creating vital space for reason to intervene. During this pause, consciously remind yourself of the dichotomy of control. Their words' actions are not in my control. My response is. This mental check-in reinforces your internal authority and diminishes the perceived power of the external provocation. It's a simple yet incredibly effective technique to regain composure and prepare for a more measured interaction, anchoring yourself in the present moment and your own capacity for rational thought before uttering a single word. Strategy 2. Reframe negative comments. Apply Marcus Aurelius's insight about perception. When someone criticizes you unfairly or makes a rude comment, consciously challenge your initial interpretation. Ask yourself, is this truly about me, or does it reflect their own insecurity, ignorance, or bad day? Try to view the comment through the lens of their potential flawed understanding. They believe this is helpful, justified, even though it's not. You might internally translate their harsh criticism. This person seems to value directness over tact, or they appear frustrated and are expressing it poorly. This isn't about agreement, but about detachment. By attributing their behavior to internal factors within them, ignorance, poor emotional regulation, different values, you strip the comment of its power to personally wound you. It becomes data about them, not a judgment upon you. Strategy 3. Focus on your own goals. Before or during a potentially difficult interaction, clarify your own objective. Is it to convey specific information, to understand their position, to reach a necessary compromise, to simply extricate yourself politely? Keep this objective firmly in mind. When the other person tries to derail the conversation with negativity or tangents, gently steer it back towards your intended purpose. This focus provides an anchor. If their comments don't serve your objective for the interaction, you have a rational basis for ignoring them or redirecting. That's an interesting perspective, but regarding the main point. Or, I understand you feel that way, however, we need to decide on X. This keeps the interaction productive on your terms, centered on what you need to achieve, rather than getting lost in the weeds of their difficult behavior. It preserves your energy for what matters. Strategy 4. Practice empathy without agreement. Remember oikeiosis and the idea that people often act from ignorance. Try to understand why the person might be acting this way, from their perspective, however flawed. What fears, assumptions, or pressures might be driving their behavior, seeking to understand their underlying motivations, even if you completely disagree with their actions or conclusions, can foster a degree of empathy. This empathy can soften your own stance and prevent dehumanization. Empathy here does not mean validating their difficult behavior or accepting their viewpoint. It simply means recognizing the potential human reasons behind it: stress, insecurity, lack of information, different values. I can see why someone might feel frustrated in this situation, even if their reaction is inappropriate. This allows for a more compassionate internal stance, reducing your own anger and making a calm, rational response more accessible. Strategy 5. Know when to disengage. Stoicism is not about enduring endless abuse or engaging in pointless arguments. Sometimes, the most virtuous and rational course of action is to calmly set boundaries or simply walk away. If an interaction becomes truly toxic, unproductive, and resistant to all reasonable attempts at constructive dialogue, recognize that continuing to engage may serve no purpose other than to disturb your own peace. Disengagement doesn't have to be hostile. It can be a simple statement: I don't think this conversation is productive right now. Or, we clearly disagree fundamentally on this. Perhaps we should revisit it later. Or even just physically removing yourself from the situation. This is not failure. It is a strategic choice, an exercise of wisdom in recognizing when further effort is futile and potentially harmful to your own well-being. Applying these strategies requires conscious effort and practice. It's like training a muscle. Initial attempts may feel clumsy and old habits of reactivity will resurface. The key is consistent application and self-reflection. After a difficult interaction, review it through the Stoic lens. Where did I succeed in applying these principles? Where did I falter? What could I do differently next time? This iterative process builds resilience over time. Consider the example of a critical relative whose comments often feel undermining. Instead of bracing for impact or planning defensive arguments, try the Stoic approach. Before the interaction, remind yourself, their opinions are external, my response is internal. During the conversation, pause before reacting to a barbed comment. Reframe it internally. They express concern through criticism. This is their way, likely rooted in their own anxieties. If the criticism persists, practice empathy. What underlying fear might be driving these comments? Perhaps fear for your well-being expressed poorly. Respond virtuously with patience, temperance, perhaps by gently redirecting wisdom, or by calmly stating a boundary if necessary, justice and courage. I appreciate your concern, Auntie, but I am comfortable with my choices. If the interaction becomes unbearable, politely disengage. I need to step away for a moment. Think about dealing with a rude stranger, perhaps someone cutting in line or speaking harshly. The initial flash of anger is natural, but the Stoic pause intervenes. This person's behavior is not in my control. My reaction is, reframe. Perhaps they are incredibly stressed, ill, or simply weren't paying attention. Their rudeness reflects their state, not my worth. What is your goal? Likely just to complete your errand peacefully. Engaging them angrily achieves nothing towards that goal. In this scenario, the virtuous response might involve quiet temperance, ignoring the slight, or perhaps minimal justice, a calm, "Excuse me, the line starts back there," if deemed necessary and safe. Courage is shown by not letting their rudeness provoke an equally rude or aggressive response from you. Empathy might involve a fleeting thought. They must be having a terrible day. Often, the wisest course is simply non-engagement, preserving your own inner peace, which is entirely within your control. The Stoic approach isn't about being passive or letting people walk all over you. Setting boundaries is perfectly compatible with Stoicism. It's an act of justice towards oneself and sometimes towards others by not enabling poor behavior. The key difference is how boundaries are set, calmly, rationally, based on principles, not driven by anger, resentment, or a desire for retribution. The boundary serves the goal of maintaining order and protecting your well-being, aligning with virtuous action. For example, if a colleague constantly interrupts you in meetings, a Stoic response, after perhaps initially ignoring it or gently redirecting, might be a calm, private conversation. "John, I've noticed I often get interrupted before finishing my points in meetings. It makes it difficult to contribute effectively. Could we perhaps be more mindful of letting each other finish?" This is stated factually, focuses on the impact, and proposes a constructive solution, devoid of accusatory anger. The beauty of the Stoic framework is its universality. It applies equally well to minor irritations and major confrontations. Whether it's a slow driver, a demanding boss, an online troll, or a manipulative acquaintance, the core principles remain the same. Identify what's in your control, your response. Challenge your initial perception. Is there another explanation? Act virtuously, patience, justice, courage, temperance. Remember shared humanity, oikiosis. By consistently applying these principles, you begin to cultivate what the Stoics called apatheia, not apathy or indifference, but a state of freedom from disturbing passions. It's an inner resilience, a tranquility that isn't dependent on external circumstances or the behavior of others. Your peace comes from within, from the knowledge that you are responding to the world rationally and virtuously, regardless of the challenges it presents. This is the ultimate reward of the Stoic path. This inner peace is not a fragile thing, easily shattered by the next difficult encounter. It's a robust state built on the foundation of reason and self-awareness. It allows you to engage with the world, including its difficult inhabitants, more effectively and with less personal cost. You conserve your emotional energy for what truly matters, rather than squandering it on reactions to things beyond your control. You become a more stable, reliable presence for yourself and others. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate difficult people from your life, an impossible task. The goal is to diminish their power over your internal state. By mastering your own responses through Stoic practice, you effectively neutralize their ability to disturb your peace. Their behavior might still be inconvenient or unpleasant, but it no longer dictates your emotional weather. You regain sovereignty over your own mind. It's crucial to approach this practice with self-compassion. You won't become a perfect Stoic sage overnight. There will be times when you react emotionally, when you get drawn into arguments, when frustration overwhelms you. The Stoic path is one of continuous effort, not instant perfection. Acknowledge these moments without harsh self-judgment, learn from them, and recommit to applying the principles the next time an opportunity arises. Progress, not perfection, is the aim. Consider journaling about challenging interactions. Write down what happened, how you felt, how you reacted, and then analyze it using the Stoic framework. What was in your control? What wasn't? How did your perceptions influence your feelings? Could you have reframed the situation? Did you act virtuously? What would a more stoic response have looked like? This reflective practice solidifies the lessons and accelerates your growth in emotional resilience. The Stoic Way offers not a magic wand to change others, but a profound method to transform ourselves. It empowers us to navigate the inevitable friction of human interaction with greater calm, clarity, and purpose. By focusing on our inner world, our judgments, our virtues, our responses, we unlock a durable form of peace that is immune to the whims and flaws of those around us. It is a path towards genuine psychological freedom. Let's summarize the core toolkit. First, relentlessly apply the dichotomy of control. Focus only on your own thoughts and actions, accepting you cannot control others. Second, actively reframe negative behavior. See it potentially as ignorance or flawed judgment, not a personal attack. Third, make virtue your goal. Use interactions to practice patience, wisdom, justice, and courage. Fourth, remember shared humanity, oikiosis, to guide your initial response towards reason. And the practical strategies derived from this framework. Master the pause before reacting. Consciously reframe negative inputs. Stay focused on your own interaction goals. Practice empathy without necessarily agreeing. And know when to disengage calmly and rationally. These are not just ideas, but skills to be cultivated through deliberate practice in the messy laboratory of everyday life, turning challenges into opportunities for self-mastery. The promise of Stoicism isn't a life free from difficulty, but a life where difficulty no longer holds sway over your inner state. It offers a way to stand firm, centered, and rational amidst the turbulence of human interaction. By internalizing these principles, you reclaim your power, not power over others, but power over yourself, which is the only power truly worth possessing and the only one entirely within your grasp. So the next time you encounter that difficult person, the coworker, the relative, the stranger, see it not merely as a source of frustration, but as a training ground, an opportunity to practice the pause, to reframe perception, to act with virtue, to remember your control. Each encounter becomes a chance to strengthen your inner citadel, to build resilience, and to move closer to that unshakable stoic peace. In essence, dealing with difficult people becomes less about them and entirely about you, about the person you choose to be in the face of adversity. It's a shift from external complaint to internal cultivation. This path demands awareness, effort, and consistency, but the reward is profound. A stable mind, a more peaceful existence, and the quiet strength that comes from living in accordance with reason and virtue, no matter who crosses your path. Key takeaways recap. Recognize the dichotomy of control, focus inward. Understand that perception shapes your reality, reframe negativity. Aim for virtuous action in every interaction, patience, justice, courage, temperance. Use challenging encounters as opportunities to practice these principles. Remember your shared humanity, but know when rational disengagement is the wisest path. Mastering these transforms difficulty from a burden into a catalyst for inner growth and unwavering tranquility. The wisdom of the Stoics, forged centuries ago, offers timeless guidance for one of our most persistent modern challenges. It provides not just comfort, but a practical, actionable system for reclaiming our inner peace amidst the complexities of human relationships. The power to navigate difficult interactions without losing yourself lies not in changing the world outside, but in mastering the world within. How might you begin applying just one of these principles today?